Here, the players from both sides will take the knee before kick-off as part of the Premier League's continuing campaign to kick racism out of football. And it is Arsenal who get it underway, and immediately David Raya goes for that long ball forward. It's dealt with initially by Jean-Paul Hecker, but he bundles into Kai Havertz, and Arsenal will have themselves a free kick inside the first few seconds. Interesting to see all those changes from both managers, if they will have a positive impact on their respective performances. All the players that have been dropped from the starting team in midweek have dropped to the bench. Before this free kick comes in, we can quickly run through the substitutes. Brighton: Igor Julio, João Pedro, Adam Lallana, Valentin Barco, Jason Steele, Ansu Fati, Joel Veltman, Facundo Buenanotte and Cameron Pepignon. It's going to be Martin Odegaard to take this one, left-footed, arm raised, just on the left-hand side of the box, feints to take it. The referee's just asked him to wait and take a retake. Curls it in, and it's headed up just past the post. A huge early opportunity for the Gunners. Gabriel Magalhaes stealing across his marker inside the box, and he's headed that one past Verbruggen's post. I would have anticipated a VAR check on that one, but an excellent early chance for Arsenal. Gabriel was away from two Brighton defenders. Verbruggen was in no position to make the block, and that is an early miss for the Gunners. 4 Premier League goals for Gabriel so far this season, and he was inches away from number 5 there. And we have Brighton looking to advance themselves. Here's Van Hecker, just squares it across the halfway line to the Brighton skipper Lewis Dunk. Really was a let off for Brighton. Arsenal, of course, the most prolific Premier League team from attacking set pieces this season. Gabriel is probably the most potent weapon in those type of scenarios, but couldn't find the back of the net on that occasion. Here's Van Hecker again. Arsenal just forcing Brighton back into their own half in the opening few moments here at the Amex Stadium. It's Pascal Gross just looking to pick up the pass from Dunk onto Jakob Moder. Now back with Pascal Gross, who try and get Brighton moving down that left hand side. And Ciso trying to burst away from former Brighton player Ben White, and he wins a corner for his side. The referee thought about that for a moment. The final touch did come off White, and it'll be a corner to the Seagulls. As I mentioned, just can quickly spin through those Arsenal substitutes. Aaron Ramsdale, Thomas Partey, Emile Smith-Rowe, Gabriel Martinelli, Eddie Nketiah, Jacob Kiwior, Takiro Tomiyasu, Leandro Trossard and Fabio Vieira, all options if needed for Mikel Arteta this evening. Corner to be taken by Gross, right-footed from the left-hand side, lofted into the box, headed away by Gabriel, almost gathered in by Estepinha, but he's forced backwards by Saka. The referee will just blow for a head injury inside the box here. It's Jorginho who's down. Italian international looks in some pain here. It might actually be his shoulder that he landed on. There's a clutch of players who all went for the ball there as Gabriel got his head on it. Arsenal medical staff will just pop on and check him over. Gabriel involved at both ends of the pitch. Just been shown a replay here on the monitors of that opportunity. It was inches past the post for Gabriel. I don't think he possibly realised how good an opportunity it was when it landed on his head. Verbruggen wasn't convincing as he came out to clear. Brighton will be grateful to see that bounce round the post. Jorginho back on his feet, seems to be okay for the moment. The Arsenal physio is just giving the signal to Mikel Arteta that he's okay for now. He will of course have to leave the field of play before he's allowed to return. A busy opening 5 minutes here on the south coast. Brighton 0, Arsenal 0. It'll be a drop ball following that injury to Jorginho. the referee will ask Pascal Gross to get us back underway. And it's Gross, midway inside the Arsenal half, just squares that inside to Carlos Baleba. Now Jean-Paul Van Hecke. Dunk. Arsenal playing with 10 for the moment. Jorginho hasn't been waved back onto play as yet. Switched over to the right-hand, left-hand side for Enciso. Cross deflected. Headed away by Declan Rice. And then helped on again by Kai Havertz. The referee's going to blow for a free kick there. It's Pervis Estupiñán who went down. He was clattered by Havertz, but German international gets the free kick in his favour. Jorginho is ushered back on. Still big potential in the final few weeks of the campaign for Brighton, of course. 9th as it stands. If they were to get a positive result here this evening, they could still put pressure on the Europa League and Europa Conference League places. Only 5 points the difference as it stands. It's been a rather chaotic 2024 for Roberto De Zerbi. Just one Premier League win in the last 5. That Europa League exit at the hands of Roma really denting confidence for the Seagulls. And Zinchenko just sees his progress on halfway checked by Tariq Lamptey. Arsenal happy to be patient here and just go backwards to Saliba, now Ødegaard. It's a poor ball given away. Brighton have a chance to race in here. Danny Welbeck was fouled there, but the referee waved play on. Might potentially pull that back, the referee. We'll just see in a moment. Arsenal do well to win back possession with Zinchenko. Jesus, he's forced backwards to Rice. And eventually, Gabriel will see that home to Raya. Raya with the switch, looking for Saka. It's cut out by Estupiñán. Good read in there from the Ecuadorian. Crosses that one deep into the box, but Zinchenko on duty nods it back to Raya. Arsenal just a little nervy in some of those diagonal balls out of defence. Lamptey and Estupiñán are locked on down the left and the right respectively. Here's Rice looking to feed Gabriel into a bit of space. As well just edge that onto Gabriel Jesus, who's dropped out onto this left hand side. Kai Havertz central now for the moment. The away side just settling into a bit more possession now. Zinchenko again looking to spin away from Lamptey, but his ball forward to Jesus is cut out. Good work there from Baleba and Lamptey to deal with that for Brighton. There's 1-2 round the corner there to release Lamptey. Does well to keep it going for Brighton. Adingra has got space to burst into down the right hand side here. Lamptey on the overlap. Lamptey squares it across and it's fired over the top by Enciso. Just couldn't quite get his bearings as that landed at his feet. Still without a Premier League goal so far this season, Julio Enciso. Without a goal in all competitions, in fact. He's had his injury issues. And that was a half chance. Ben White did well to track him across the box and slide in. I think his pressure was enough to put Enciso off. Arsenal again hassled and harried, trying to play out from the back. Gabriel this time deflected, but it'd be an Arsenal throw-in up on the halfway line. And despite that recent form from Brighton, of course, their home results have been excellent this season. Just one Premier League defeat here at the Fortress Amex. That was against West Ham all the way back in August. It's level with Arsenal's home record at the Emirates Stadium. Liverpool and Manchester City, the only teams not to lose a home game this season, so it's not all doom and gloom for De Zerbi. We've drawn with Liverpool here, beaten Tottenham. Manchester City will be here on April the 25th, another potential title decider here on the south coast. Nice ball forward from Welbeck, just feeds that off to Jakob Moder. He blasts that one well wide of David Raya's goal. Brighton have set a few traps here for Arsenal that the Gunners have struggled with. More possession from the Gunners, as you'd expect, in the opening 10 minutes or so, but it's still just that one chance. Gabriel Magalhaes heading past the post from Martin Ødegaard's free kick. Raya looks to go long up towards Havertz, but offside flag is up, and Havertz throws his hands up in frustration there. Just needed to be a little bit more careful with his run as he tried to escape the attentions of Duncan van Hekke. Verbruggen plays that one out to Lamptey. Lamptey tries the direct ball in behind for Welbeck, but it's well dealt with by William Saliba. Now Jorginho to get things moving in the Arsenal engine room. Onto Martin Ødegaard. Saka, that's blocked off by Enciso. Brighton do well to win it back with Gross. Trying to make some inroads in midfield, but there's so many bodies congregated in the centre circle. Here's 8 players in there battling away, trying to win possession. Arsenal, of course, know their objective tonight. Only a victory will do if they want to keep pace with Manchester City and Liverpool, and it's been a pretty perfect start to the calendar year. There's Bukayo Saka. He's in space in behind Estepinian here. Saka cuts in. Saka with the shot. And Saka past the post for Arsenal. It looked a perfect chance for the England international. He's been Arsenal's main man in front of goal so far this season. 13 in the Premier League, 16 in all competitions. The trademark run from the Arsenal number 7, checked inside dunk onto his left foot, 10 yards from goal, and it flashes past the post. And another missed opportunity for Arsenal. Here is Saka again, looking to quickly make amends. Steps in again, finds Jesus. Jesus with the drive, and Verbruggen with the save. Good response there from Saka from that miss. Opted against the shot himself this time, just rolled it along the edge of the 18-yard box. Jesus was arriving late, and that's a good stop from Bart Verbruggen. Really good stop, in fact. It was drifting just inside the post, and he got a strong hand to tip it behind. Saka will head over to take this one, over on the Arsenal left. 13 minutes gone here on Flash Score UK. Brighton 0, Arsenal 0. Saka to take. Also the near post delivery, headed away by Brighton. Ødegaard will nod that back out to Saka over on the far side. Now back with Ødegaard. He'll loft this one in deep, but it's Dunk who gets there first. Picked up on the edge of the box by Jesus. He tries to feed that back into Saka, headed up in the air, but not away by Brighton. Bounces down again for Jesus, tries to roll away from a couple of Brighton defenders there, but it's well dealt with in the end. Arsenal will quickly turn it over though. Declan Rice looking to ensure that the momentum from those set pieces are maintained. Here's Havertz dropping centrally to link up with Ødegaard. Zinchenko. Jorginho looking to switch over to Ben White, who's advanced very deep inside the Brighton half now. Arsenal just edging onto the edge of the Seagulls box. Saka backed up by the Ødegaard over there. Needed a little hand there, Saka, as Enciso does well to get back, and Enciso wins it eventually from Ben White. Good defensive work there from the Brighton number 10, but the attempted quick switch to Welbeck is a poor one. Arsenal will just roll again. Ball into the feet, Havertz in behind here. Brighton players are appealing for an offside flag, but he's held up, tries to dink it in far post, and is headed behind by Gabriel Jesus. Havertz didn't look confident taking that one on his own. He delayed his run. He probably was just about onside. Jean-Paul Van Hecker a fraction deeper than Lewis Dunk, but he preferred to wait for the arrival of Gabriel Jesus. It was a nice ball by the German. The header from Jesus. Difficult angle on the left-hand side of the box. He just couldn't drift it in that post. Looking at the form book here for Arsenal, it's been incredibly consistent from them. 9 wins and 1 Premier League draw in their last 10. Taken 28 Premier League points from a possible 30 in 2024, and they've not lost in the Premier League since the start of January. Champions League defeat to Porto, of course, that was then turned around in the second leg, and they were dumped out of the FA Cup by Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool. Dunk with the switch over to the right hand side now, looking for the run of Lamptey. It's left now for Carlos Baleba. Lamptey will go back outside, and Baleba with the drive past the post. Brighton are creating opportunities here when they look to get forward. Roberto De Zerbi's just told his 2 wide players to push up and look to make a bit more of an impact in Siso and Adingra. And that was a half chance for Brighton. Here's Saliba. David Raya will just knock that long, looking for Havertz, but it's Dunk who gets there first. Havertz, of course, was on target in the reverse fixture at the Emirates earlier this season. His late winner alongside Gabriel Jesus meant 3 points for Mikel Arteta. But they've only done the Premier League double over Brighton once in recent seasons. It's been a sticky fixture, shall we say, for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta, 4 wins from 8 as the Gunners boss against Brighton. He's faced a couple of different managers in that time, but he's consistently found the Seagulls a tough nut to crack. Here's Zinchenko. A ball forward, just cut out by Adingra. Jesus will battle with Baleba. Zinchenko wins it back, and Rice does well to turn it over. Jesus tries to feed that into the feet of Havertz, but he's tracked by Lewis Dunk on the edge of the box. Now Adingra just dropping in to help out down in the right back spot with Lamptey and Van Hecker. Van Hecker's ball out is gathered in by Zinchenko and Rice. Of course, those Arsenal struggles against Brighton will include the 3-0 home defeat last season. Gunners fans will remember it was arguably that game that spelt the end of their Premier League title challenge last season. The massive drop-off in form in the run-in saw Manchester City rather cruise home in the end. It's a very, very different story this time round. Still no goals. 20 minutes on the clock. Pervis Estupiñán there just wins a free kick for Brighton. He was caught on the edge of his own box by Ben White. Late challenge there by White on his former teammate. A free kick to Brighton. It's won back by White. Estupiñán will challenge Saka over on that far left hand side, and Siso now steps in. He's fouled by Saka. The referee sees it the other way. Goes for a foul against the Paraguayan international. Arsenal will have another chance to load this one into the box. And of course, the aerial prowess that they do have. Saliba, Havertz, Gabriel, of course, thrown into the mix. It's taken quickly by Ødegaard, just lofted in down the right-hand side of the penalty area. Havertz will feed that back to Saka to cross. He goes to Ødegaard. Ødegaard with the drive. It's deflected behind for a corner. Arsenal just trying something different there as they look to unlock the Brighton defence. Havertz again just a little unsure of what to do with himself in the Brighton 18-yard box. He needed support from Saka and then from Ødegaard. Saka will take over on this one. Third corner of the first half. Second for Arsenal and second for Saka. Goes slightly deeper this time. It's the edge of the box and it's almost steered goalwards by Gabriel. He was battling away with Van Hecke. Appealing for a possible penalty there, the Brazilian centre-back. He got away from his man. John Brooks says no. Brighton trying to get things back underway quickly here. Danny Welbeck just drifting over onto that left hand side to get himself involved. He's been a pretty quiet individual in the opening stages here. It's a nice turn in the middle of the pitch by Baleba. Get away from Rice. Pass forward is blocked off though. Good work from Jesus. Good turn of speed there from Baleba to show Rice a clean pair of heels, but he ultimately ran into a bit of trouble. A quarter of the game gone here. The two big chances have fallen to the visitors. Gabriel heading wide in the opening seconds, and then Bukayo Saka back in the Arsenal starting 11 with what looked like the most Bukayo Saka chance ever. Just curled it past Bart Verbruggen's post. Here's Jorginho, just picking it up off his two centre-backs inside the Brighton half. Goes left to Gabriel. He'll ping that one down the left-back channel for Zinchenko, but it's got too much on it. Didn't quite run out for a goal kick. That'll be a throw-in to Brighton right by the corner flag. Tariq Lamptey to jog back and take this one. Arsenal will try and pen Brighton in here. And it is one back there. Good work from Jesus. Scrapping away with Gross, but Van Hecke will hoof that into the air. Gabriel with the return, but Brighton again pick up the loose ball. That's a lovely touch on halfway line to get Brighton moving. Here's Adingra down the right hand side. Tried to find Danny Welbeck with the first time ball forward. Right idea. Execution just lacking a little from the Ivory Coast international. Pressed on his debut Premier League season. 6 Premier League goals so far. He's joined the list of exciting Brighton forwards. No Matoma, of course, until next season. The Japanese winger, so unfortunate to pick up an injury at such an important time in the campaign. Jorginho lifts that one to the edge of the box to Saka. Tries to knock it down for Ødegaard. It falls back to Saka. Havertz with the layoff. Ødegaard just couldn't gather it in. Brighton get back in numbers to deal with it. But it's White who gets there first to the loose ball. He gives it away to Estupiñán. A bit of good fortune there for Brighton over on the left side to keep possession. Switched over to this near right hand side now with Adingra. Lamptey will bomb forward past him on the overlap. This is a bit better from Brighton. We've not seen too much of their creative players, particularly in a central area. Gross and of course Welbeck, former Manchester United man's in it. Decent run of form at the moment. 2 goals in his last 2 starts in all competitions, proving that he's still a capable operator at Premier League level. Is Van Hecke. advance way inside the Arsenal half. That's a lovely ball into Welbeck's feet. Tries to feed it onto Adingra. Adingra got there before David Ryan, who went down. Immediately, the Brighton players were calling for a penalty. It was Lamptey that got the final touch and is now down in pain. Great layoff there from Danny Welbeck. There's the potential that this will be looked at. Zinchenko had his arm across Tariq Lamptey, and he ended up skidding into the legs of David Raya. Don't think it was an intentional collision from the Spanish goalkeeper. He does get a touch on the ball. No VAR check in that instance. Tariq Lamptey back on his feet and back in action. Raya plays that one short this time into the feet of Jorginho. Zinchenko's forced backwards though by Adingra. Brighton players are certainly pressing Arsenal in these positions, and Raya was almost caught out there by Jakob Mudder, I think. It's eventually given away by Arsenal. Dunkel fizzed that one into the feet of Welbeck. Lay off and Ciso is well dealt with by Ben White. Jorginho hounded by Carlos Baleba there, and Baleba will keep going. Arsenal just about maintaining possession here, but Saka gives it away to Enciso. The referee eventually does pull that back for a foul. Enciso disagrees, and Tariq Lamptey is down again. And this is a bit of a concern for Roberto De Zerbi. Lamptey brought into the starting 11 today in place of Joel Veltman. The Italian could find himself with a decision to make. If Lamptey's deemed to be not fit enough to continue the game. Both sets of players here just allowed by the referee to take a quick break. Obviously we've noticed this in recent Premier League games. A rule amendment from Premier League officials to allow players to break fast during Ramadan. It's been observed in the majority of Premier League fixtures that we've seen over the last week or so. Lamptey looks to have been given the all clear by the Brighton physios there. He's just got a quick pat on the back from Roberto De Zerbi. And referee John Brooks will get us back underway. Half an hour gone here on Flash Score UK. Arsenal needing a win to force themselves back on top of the Premier League table. A couple of excellent chances for Mikel Arteta's side. Gabriel Magalhaes and Bukayo Saka. But as it stands, Brighton 0, Arsenal 0. There's Jorginho. As well to get forward there for Arsenal. Wants the ball back from Zinchenko, but Alexander Zinchenko just delays his pass and Brighton can get back in numbers. Jesus now to Jorginho. Rice inside the box, finds Jorginho again. Brighton will get it away and Brighton will get the free kick as well. Jorginho, the aggressor there. I think he was frustrated with Zinchenko that he didn't get the pass back as quickly as he wanted. Just catches Simon Adingra on the top of the foot. Brighton immediately give away the ball. They've not been able to make possession stick so far this half. An even 60-40 split in Arsenal's favour in terms of ball retention in the opening 30 minutes. But all in all, Brighton can't be too disappointed with their performance. Couple of let-offs with those missed chances by Arsenal, but they've pressed and made things difficult for Arteta's team trying to play out from the back. That was a nice ball from Raya though. Ødegaard wants to just gallop over the halfway line, feeds it to White, now back to Ødegaard. Norwegian international trying to create something for the Gunners on the edge of the box. Jesus steps in off the right, thought about the cross, but eventually goes back to Jorginho. Now Zinchenko. Arsenal just running into a bit of a blind alley down the left hand side. Brighton happy to shift across and just pack the areas where Arsenal are trying to probe through. Lifted forward by Gabriel this time, finds Jesus. Bit of space to run at Lamptey, does well. That was a crunching tackle, but the referee sees it very differently and he has blown, and it is a penalty to Arsenal. I have to say, on first glance, it looked that Lamptey had won the ball. It looked like a good challenge. Jesus just checked away from him. He was clumsy with where he left his feet, Lamptey, as he made the tackle, but he certainly gets a little nick on the ball. The follow through does take Jesus over, and it is only fractionally inside the box. And on the replay, I think John Brooks might have got that one right. Lamptey does take a chunk of the ball, but he takes an even bigger chunk of the man. And Arsenal, after two missed opportunities already, have themselves a perfect chance to take the lead. John Brooks is just getting the word from his VAR assistants, but he seems absolutely set in this one. It's the Arsenal captain Martin Ødegaard who's got his hands on the ball. Could of course be a bit of a ploy. We've seen that a few times this season as players look to protect others, and it is going to be Bukayo Saka as expected to take it. Scored all 4 of his Premier League penalties this season, the England international. Incidentally, Arsenal have not missed a Premier League penalty this season. 9 from 9. Saka with a massive chance to make it 10 from 10 from the spot. Bukayo Saka against Bart Verbruggen. Short run up from Saka and a goal from Saka. Coolness, calmness from Arsenal's number 7 sends Verbruggen the wrong way. His 14th Premier League goal of the season, and Arsenal have the breakthrough here at the Amex. Tariq Lamptey's untidy challenge on Gabriel Jesus effectively gave John Brooks very little decision to make in the end. And Bukayo Saka back in the team and back on the score sheet. Brilliant penalty from Saka. Verbruggen to the left, Saka to the right. Just strokes that into the bottom corner. 33 minutes on the clock, and Arsenal, as it stands, are back on top of the Premier League table. Coolly dispatched there from Bukayo Saka. He just waited for Verbruggen to make his move. Incidentally, that's his 22nd Premier League goal contribution of the season. 25 in the entirety of last campaign. You'd imagine he will break that before the campaign wraps up. He is Arsenal's main man, and that is a vital strike from Saka. Here's Lamptey. Does well to win back possession from Kai Havertz. What can Brighton do in response before the break? Really neat ball out of defence there from Lewis Duncan. Pervis Estepinian will storm forward. Good ball forward to the feet of Adingra. He's got some space to run at Zinchenko. Just lost his footing slightly there, and he'll go again. Blocked by his own player in the end, but Adingra will win it back. Jorginho with the challenge. Be a free kick to Brighton though. Havertz just levered a Brighton player off the ball there. It was Baleba that came into him. Brighton will have an opportunity here. Havertz just tried to spin away from Baleba there, and he caught him in the face with a loose arm. A chance here for Brighton to create something. It'll be Pascal Gross looking to loft it into the box. 25 yards from goal. Just to the left of David Raya's goal. He's been an assist machine so far this season, Pascal Gross. 10 in the Premier League. Joint with Kieran Trippier and Ollie Watkins. What can he do here? Whipped in by Gross, headed up and headed almost out for a corner by Gabriel, but Saka eventually thumps it out for a throw-in. Rather tame delivery by the German in the end. Brighton haven't let their heads drop after that goal. I imagine Roberto De Zerbi will be in no huge hurry to make changes at the break. He knows that there's not been too much between the two teams. Arsenal have created more and got the breakthrough, but Brighton still firmly in the contest as a whole. A throw into Arsenal just inside the Brighton half over on the far right hand side. 37 minutes gone here. If you're just joining us, Brighton 0, Arsenal 1. Bukayo Saka from the penalty spot, eventually breaking the deadlock. And that means that as it stands, Arsenal are back on top of the Premier League table. A point advantage over Liverpool, who go to Manchester United tomorrow. Manchester City in third now on 70 points. A 4-2 win for Pep Guardiola's side away at Crystal Palace earlier this afternoon. Long ball forward, played for Ben White. Can he keep it in? He can. Fed across the box. And Van Hecke has to get there to clear behind for a corner. Kai Havertz making a nuisance of himself. Needed the intervention of Van Hecke and Lewis Dunk, really. They were both piling in at the near post to block off Havertz. And the final touch does come off Van Hecke. Another set piece for Arsenal. Saka to take. Near post this time from Saka, but it's punched away by Verbruggen. And he half dealt with on the edge of the box by Brighton, and Rice will have a chance, blocked. Referee blows for a foul in the end though. And that was Havertz who was unfairly jockeying a couple of Brighton players. It is so very, very tight at the top of the table. The possibility of goal difference being a tiebreaker still remains active. Arsenal are winning in that regard as well. Plus 49, plus 42 for Liverpool, plus 40 for Manchester City. Goal difference, of course, is the first tiebreaker if more than one side has the same amount of points at the end of the campaign. So often heard it's like an extra point. That could well prove to be the case. Still plenty of twists and turns left to go, you'd imagine. We're just being shown a replay here on the monitor of that Lamptey challenge on Gabriel Jesus, and it's undoubtedly a penalty. The more times you watch it, it was clumsy from Lamptey. Tried to read the little trick from Jesus, and he just caught the Brazilian on his ankle. And then Saka, deadly from the spot. His fifth Premier League penalty of the season. Fifth converted Premier League penalty, I should say. Jesus does well there to win back a bit of possession for Arsenal. He wins a throw-in as well. Zinchenko will come forward down the left-hand side to take. Erdegaard. Challenged well by Moda, but he keeps it alive for Arsenal. William Saliba. Ødegaard again. Gabriel just blocked off there by Adingra as he tried to advance things for Arsenal. Gabriel just showed a bit of frustration to Jorginho there. He wanted a quick passing option from the Italian, but Arsenal will get things moving again. Ball drifted out to Saka, as well read by Estepinian. We'll try and get Brighton moving forward. Nice layoff from Enciso, back to Estepinian. Gets away from Havertz down the left. Feeds it into Welbeck. Welbeck tried to go the long way round William Saliba. He's dealt with by Arsenal again, and Saka will just hack that one away for a throw-in. Lovely link up there between Enciso and Estepinian down the Brighton left. Kai Havertz rather sold himself as he tried to get back in and make the challenge. Welbeck's touch just a bit loose, and Gabriel gets back and Saka makes the clearance. Gabriel now's just flagged up to the referee John Brooks that he's having a problem. Not a player that Mikel Arteta will want to lose. Bayern Munich in the Champions League in midweek, of course. Gabriel's been a cornerstone of this team in recent weeks. Himself, Saliba and Ben White, 17th successive Premier League start. Himself and Saliba did a very commanding job up against Erling Haaland last weekend. We've got Harry Kane in the diary on Tuesday night. This does look a bit of a concern for Gabriel. Seems to be an ankle injury as he was making that challenge. John Brooks is just telling Gabriel and the Arsenal physios that he needs to leave the pitch to continue whatever treatment he needs. Arteta hasn't sent anybody out to warm up at this stage. It's something that he will keep an eye on. Just 2 minutes of regular time to go until the break. Gabriel is able to walk off, but it's a sore one. Been so impressive in defence, Arsenal this season. Top for least goals conceded, most clean sheets, least shots faced, and least expected shots against. Gabriel has been a vital part of that. Lifted forward and helped on inside the Brighton box towards Enciso. He'll check inside Saka, trying to find an angle for a shot. Enciso, and it's papped around the post by Raya. Twisting and turning and eventually working an angle against Bukayo Saka. That was heading in. It needed the touch behind from Arsenal's number 22 rather. He certainly is Arsenal's number 1. 11 Premier League clean sheets this season. The top dog. Gross will whip the corner in, headed down. Good leap there by Jean-Paul Van Hecke, but the flag was up. Offside in the second phase of that one. David Raya, superb form, underlined by just 1 goal conceded in his last 6 in the Premier League. The Arsenal Premier League clean sheet record is 16 in a top flight campaign. That's jointly held by Petr Cech and Wojciech Szczesny. Raya can still break that this season. Goal kick won by Brighton though. Baleba tries to find Enciso. That will just fly out of play. Arsenal get themselves a throw in dead on halfway. Gabriel is back on. Just moving a little gingerly as he looks to feel his way back into the contest. Could be a call for Arteta to make at the break. Bayern Munich on the horizon, and the overall importance that Gabriel has in this team. It's not worth the risk if there's the potential of aggravating a wider issue. Jacob Kivior and Takehiro Tomiyasu can both come on and cover in that position. Ben White, of course, can play at centre-back. Declan Rice, of course, can play at centre-back as well if needed. The board flash up here for added time. 7 minutes added on. A little bit more than I expected, I have to say. Just the one goal. We have had a few injuries, I suppose, but that's quite generous from the officials. Zinchenko just slips that one over the halfway line into Jesus. He's forced backwards to the right, but he'll fizz that one through the lines to Martin Ødegaard. Now switched over to the right to Saka. Doubling up over on that far side on Saka, Estepinian, and then Ciso getting very, very close to him. He's eventually shoved backwards by Estepinian. Rice will come again. White has now stepped forward into Saka's shoes and it's blocked. Estepinian does well there to prevent a corner, but Verbruggen can only hoof it out, and it will be a throw in to Arsenal. Quickly taken. Another throw in for Arsenal. Ødegaard will leave this one. Give the Gunners a chance just to quickly reset. Long throw in, helped on inside the box by Havertz. It was an awkward one for Brighton. It was really an attempt on target by Havertz. I think he was just trying to keep the loose ball alive in the Brighton box. He just will gather it in over on that left hand side. Zinchenko now into Rice, back to Jesus. Zinchenko thought about the cross, but he just feeds that one into Ødegaard. Rice will square it. Cleared away again by Brighton. Poor clearance by Lamptey. Does well to win that challenge with Jesus. That was almost an identical scenario to the penalty, but he's done well. Jesus will come again. Dinks it into Saka inside the box. Big block there from Van Hecke. Jesus scrapping away with Adingra, but Adingra comes out on top this time for Brighton. Nice skills to get away from Zinchenko, but he passes it straight to Gabriel. Rice. Zinchenko again. Arsenal trying to build something down the left hand side. The throw in goes against Gabriel Jesus. Lewis Dunk is unhappy with that incident just a moment ago with Kai Havertz. He's complaining to the referee that it was a foul by Havertz on him, and it's one of those situations that, had it resulted in a goal, probably would have been looked at by VAR. Here's Rice, tackled down the Arsenal left by Lamptey. Good win in the middle by Jean-Paul Van Hecke, and Ciso just can't gather that one in, but Estepinian will. 3 minutes of the additional 7 have been played here at the Amex. Arsenal do look to be clicking into gear. 10 Premier League games unbeaten going into this match, 9 wins and a draw. That tie against Manchester City last weekend means neither side were able to gain a meaningful title advantage. Here's Ciso down the Brighton left, trying to get away from White. Saliba will meet that at the near post. Nice touch there from Saliba to just dodge past a couple of Brighton tackles. Very calm from the Frenchman, and even calmer from Ødegaard with the layoff to release Jesus. Arsenal have got men over here if they can get this move quickly down the right hand side. Ødegaard, he's got Havertz outside him. Havertz on into the box. Can he find the cutback? Van Hecke gets there first. Cleared away. Ciso will beat White to it. Arsenal will come again. Brighton furious at that one. They thought that was a foul by White on in Ciso. Ødegaard with the little back heel. Saka onto White. Still no offside flag. It's deflected over to the far post to Rice. Brighton are absolutely screaming at the officials here. The flag does eventually go up for offside. Home fans very, very angry with that decision. It took a lifetime for the flag to go up. There's possibly 2 Arsenal offsides in the middle of that passage of play. As the rain starts to fall, plenty to think about for Roberto De Zerbi. And the whistle blows for half-time in a moment. He does have options on the bench if he wants to turn the screw a little bit more. João Pedro, Adam Lallana, Facundo Buenanotte and Ansu Fati, of course, the Barcelona loanee. He's come in for some criticism by De Zerbi in recent weeks, who claimed his level is not as high as it should be. It'd be a perfect opportunity to prove the manager wrong if he was thrown on in this one after the break. It's given away by Van Hekke. Ødegaard tries to just bustle his way on into the Brighton box, but he's ran into a bit of traffic there. Eventually does find his way out to Saka. Rice with the ball round the corner, back to Saka, on into the box. Cleared away again by Van Hekke, another really important intervention. Dunk refused to hoof that one clear. Just finds Estepinian in the end, but he'll give that away to Ødegaard. Arsenal might get one more chance here before the break. Rice on into the box, manages to get past a couple of tackles. Saka with the layoff. Eventually it's just shuffled out to the right back spot, and Adingra. Arsenal just pressing and pressing Brighton all the way back. Moda with no choice but to link up with his goalkeeper there. Positive news from Arsenal, of course, is that Gabriel doesn't seem to have any ill effects from that injury. Brighton get themselves on the march here. Jacob Moda feeds that one on into Simon Adingra. He's backed up by Tariq Lamptey. Just a few seconds to go. Arsenal want an offside, and they get it. Jacob Moda, sloppy coming back from his original run. Roberto De Zerbi just buries his head in his jacket there. He knows that was an opportunity, and there'll be no more opportunities in the first 45 minutes here at the Amex Stadium. A title battle for the Arsenal. And at the break here on the south coast, thanks to Bukayo Saka's penalty, it is Brighton 0, Arsenal 1. We'll be back with all the second half action in just over 15 minutes. is gathered in by David Raya. 3 points, of course, at this stage would mean that Arsenal move back to the top of the Premier League table. Manchester City 4-2 win over Crystal Palace earlier this afternoon, and Liverpool, who were on top at the start of the weekend, head to Manchester United tomorrow. It is an enthralling Premier League title race. Arsenal, though, for the moment, are leading the way. No changes at the break. I'll just quickly run through the teams as the ball pops out of play there for a Brighton throw-in on the halfway line. So as for the home side, Bart Verbruggen in goal. It's a back four of Tariq Lamptey, Jean-Paul Van Hecke, Lewis Dunk, and Pervis Estupiñán, Carlos Baleba and Pascal Gross in defensive midfield. And we will come to the rest of the team in a moment, just because Arsenal are trying to make something happen down the left-hand side, and Lamptey is forced to concede a throw-in off Gabriel Jesus. So the rest of that Brighton team: Simon Odringa, Jacob Moder, Julio Enciso and Danny Welbeck. As for Arsenal, David Raya in goal, Ben White, William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, Alexander Zinchenko in defence, Declan Rice, Jorginho and Martin Odegaard in midfield. The goal scorer Bukayo Saka and Kai Havertz alongside Gabriel Jesus. Corner to Arsenal, and it's going to be Declan Rice to take over on the far left-hand side. Early opportunity here for the Gunners. Rice swings it in towards the far post. Gabriel went for it. It's dealt with by Brighton. Cleared out for a throw-in. Gabriel, of course, with a superb opportunity inside the first seconds of the first half. Find himself with a good chance there. Not as clear, that one. John Brooks, the referee, is checking against the possible penalty there. Pascal Gross had a little pull on Kai Havertz's shirt, but not enough for a review, and not enough for a penalty. Here's Saliba, deep inside the Brighton half, goes down the right hand side to Havertz, who try and hang a cross in towards Jesus at the far post. It's past the post by Jesus. Got up above Lamptey. Those two were, of course, involved in the penalty incident before the break. Lamptey's foul on Arsenal's Brazilian number 9 gave Bukayo Saka the chance to tuck home from the spot. And that is the dividing line between the two teams at the moment. Free kick to Brighton, though, on the halfway line. Saliba on Enciso. Pascal Gross wanting to get this back underway quickly. Odegaard will put the squeeze on, but Brighton initially keep the ball, but then Gross loses out to Saka. Havertz tries to get away down the right hand side. Ball into the box is blocked off, though. Good tracking there from Carlos Baleba. It's Verbruggen who gets Brighton back underway. The Seagulls backline immediately put under pressure. Havertz on Van Hecke there. He does well to eventually just feed it out to the left back, Pervis Estupiñán. Curious position for Verbruggen today. His 16th Premier League start. That means that he has now started more Premier League games than Jason Steele. Nobody has changed their goalkeeping options more than Roberto De Zerbi this season. It was 50-50 between Steele and Verbruggen prior to this evening. And this is the first time he started 4 successive Premier League games. The long ball forward there has caused a problem for Zinchenko, and he's eventually had to rather clumsily steer that out for a corner. Good work from Enciso to put pressure on the Ukrainian. Brighton will have a chance to threaten the Arsenal goal. 5 minutes into the second half here on Flash Score UK. Brighton 0, Arsenal 1. Pascal Gross to take. Gross with the delivery. It's headed away by Gabriel. Comes out to the far side to Estupiñán. Blocked by Saka. Estupiñán will go again. Wide of the target from the Ecuadorian. himself a couple of Premier League goals already this season, and he, of course, was on target in that famous Brighton 3-0 win over Arsenal last season. I mentioned that in the first half is not a memory that Arsenal fans will want to call to mind. It was a game that was seen as the end of their title charge. A bit of a dust-up there between Julio Enciso and Ben White. It was initially a clash between Estepinian and White. Just a bit of shoulder to shoulder and push and shove. White's gone down claiming that he was caught in the face by Estepinian. I don't think there was too much in it there. That's a little bit dramatic from the Arsenal right back. The rain continuing to absolutely bucket down here in Brighton. That slippery surface is always something that can lead to mistakes. There's a mistake there from Gabriel as he tried to play out from the back. He's hounded into it. Maybe a throw into Brighton. Good work off the front by Jakob Moder. Arsenal will get it clear, but Van Hecker will return it back into the Arsenal half. Ødegaard takes that down in front of Enciso to find Ben White. A nice clip ball into the middle to Declan Rice. He finds Gabriel Jesus advancing down the left. Cute ball there from Jesus, just tried to find the run of Ødegaard on the edge of the Brighton box, but it's cut out by the home side. Jorginho gets in to win back possession, but it's given away again by Brighton. Now Gabriel. Jorginho just acknowledged the run of Havertz there. He decided against playing a chip ball into him. No sign of any potential changes at this stage from either manager. Arsenal in relative control. Brighton have caused them a few problems, but it's only really one save from David Raya to call to mind from Julio Enciso just before the break. Here's Saka, just steps in field away from Estepinian. Ødegaard finds Jorginho. That's a neat ball through that gap to find Havertz on the right hand side of the box. Havertz steps it back to Ødegaard. Ødegaard with a strike, and Verbruggen will palm that over the bar. That's well worked by Arsenal. They're trying to find a little pocket of space for their captain. Just stepped away from Gross, and it was moving and swirling in front of Verbruggen. Went for the safe option there and just helped it over the crossbar. Saka to come out and take this one for Arsenal. Referee just calling for a moment to sort out some pushing and shoving inside the 6-yard box. Saka might go short here to Ødegaard. He does. Back to Saka. Laid onto the edge of the box now to Zinchenko. Will dink that one back into Saka. If he can find a ball across, he can. And it's eventually hammered goalwards by Jesus. The Arsenal arms wave for a handball. Referee John Brooks says no. Little training ground routine there from Arsenal as Zinchenko fed that back into Saka. But they were unable to fashion out an opportunity. 10 minutes of the second half gone. No change in the scoreline and no change in the Premier League table. Arsenal back on top. They've given it away in midfield now as Enciso just couldn't quite gather in the second loose ball, but Lewis Dunk is there. Enciso was pulled back there by Havertz. Referee says play on. Then White pulls him back, and John Brooks will pull this back for a foul by White on Enciso. Jorginho's getting himself involved now. Nice play there from Enciso, just stepped away from Jesus. White had 2 pulls at him. The referee eventually blows for the free kick. Dead centre, midway inside the Arsenal half of the pitch. Gross and Estepinian in attendance over it. Gross, you'd imagine, would be the favourite here off the right foot of the German international, but it's played short. Gross will go down the left now to Enciso. Tries to stand up Saka. Saka backs away on into the box, and Enciso will go with him. He's forced behind for a corner. Enciso and Adingra have carried the majority of Brighton's threat from those wide areas. No real chances so far for Danny Welbeck. But the speed of those two up against White and Zinchenko have caused Arsenal problems. Corner to Brighton though, as Gross comes over to take, right-footed from the left-hand side, headed away and headed behind for another corner, but the referee stepped in here. Declan Rice and Lewis Dunk are going to get a talking to, the two England teammates. Pascal Gross will get another opportunity to deliver this one into the box. Again into the near post, but Arsenal do well to get it clear. Enciso on the volley. It's over the top from Enciso. Saw the flash of the headlines there. There's a real battle there between Rice and Dunk. Rice initially had a hold of him, but Dunk just barrelled his way through and tried to get on the end of that. Good strength from the Brighton captain, but it's eventually just lashed over the top by Julio Enciso. Arsenal do have themselves a game on their hands here. Slender 1-goal advantage. Ball played through. Saka almost gets there before Verbruggen, but the Brighton stopper just clears it out for a throw-in eventually. Ball lofted forward there by Saliba, but it's cut out by Estepinian. Imagine, given the balance of the scoreline, Roberto De Zerbi will be the first manager to make a change. It's good defensive work there from Saliba to edge out Enciso and Welbeck, but Gross comes sliding in to challenge and win back for Brighton. Saliba's called into action again. Tried to go for the ambitious ball across to Zinchenko, but it's cut out by Brighton. Carlos Baleba just couldn't quite keep it in play though. Risky ball there from Saliba. Two pretty astute pieces of defending, and then a pretty risky pass across the back line. And we are going to see a Brighton change momentarily. There's two players stripped off down in the dugout. We'll just get a check on who those are in a moment or two. We tick on towards the hour mark in this title battle here at the Amex Stadium. Bukayo Saka's penalty the difference, as the current Premier League leaders Arsenal take a 1-goal advantage into the final 30 minutes. Here's the Brighton captain Lewis Dunk into the feet of Gross, but he's hassled there by Jorginho. Arsenal do well to win it back. Saka will play it forward to Rice, who beats Van Hecke too. For a high foot from the England international, but wasn't needed in the end as Tariq Lamptey was on duty to clear up. It's Odegaard, nice change of feet to get away from Baleba. Dunk beats Havertz to it on the edge of the box for Brighton. Now Enciso feeds it over to the Brighton right for Adingra. Back with Enciso, storming through the middle here. He's challenged by White. He He manages to feed it into Welbeck. Welbeck's pulled down. Brighton players want a foul. Referee says no. Arsenal looking pretty hassled and harried in the last few moments. Ben White looks to get forward, give the visitors a little respite. Slips it infield to Martin Ødegaard. Ødegaard trying to work it back onto his left foot, but he's forced backwards by Pascal Gross. Back to White down the Arsenal right hand side. Saka looking to go one-on-one with Estupiñán, on into the Brighton box. Saka with the curler, but dunks there before Havertz. Estupiñán did really well there to beat Saka to the return ball, but it's given away by Brighton. Saka's down off the ball here, and Arsenal have played on. Jorginho's made his way into the box if he can find the cutback for Havertz, and Arsenal have a second. Kai Havertz at the near post, and Arsenal are 2 goals in front. Back-to-back goals against the Seagulls for Kai Havertz, his 9th Premier League goal of the season. The Arsenal fans have the flares on the pitch already. Jorginho was the man running from midfield, not picked up by the Brighton defence. And it was Havertz's belligerence at the near post to force it home. And Arsenal now have themselves a 2-goal lead as they look to march on in the Premier League title race. Interestingly, the Arsenal players weren't appealing for a foul against Saka. Nice through ball there from Martin Ødegaard to find Jorginho. We're not used to seeing him in those positions, bombing through into the opposition box, but he expertly found Kai Havertz. The possible check for offside against Jorginho as he made that run, but to the naked eye he looks okay. There's a swarm of Brighton bodies at the near post. Van Hecke, dunk for Bruggen. He just couldn't keep it out. 62 minutes gone here, and Arsenal have themselves a very strong lead. 2-0 win over Luton in midweek, of course. Can Brighton do what Luton were unable to and find a response? First couple of changes from Roberto De Zerbi. It's Facundo Buonanotte and João Pedro on. Julio Enciso and Jakob Moder replaced. There'll be changes for Arsenal as well in just a moment or two. Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Jesus for Gabriel Martinelli and Leandro Trossard. So a double change for both managers. Moder and Enciso off, Buonanotte and Pedro on, and Saka and Jesus off, Martinelli and Trossard on for Arsenal. It really is a crucial couple of weeks coming up for Arsenal. There will be the motivations behind those substitutions from Mikel Arteta. Bayern Munich arrive at the Emirates Stadium on Tuesday night, and then there's a huge game at the Emirates against Aston Villa on Sunday the 14th of April. Villa, of course, drawing 3-3 with Brentford this afternoon. That's hindered their top 4 push. And then on the 17th of April, Arsenal go to Bayern Munich for the Champions League quarter-final second leg. There's still work to be done here, though. Given that defensive strength that the Arsenal have shown in recent weeks, it would take something pretty spectacular from Brighton to change the record. Here's Pedro and Buonanotte linking up over on that far Brighton right-hand side. The two substitutes immediately into the action. It's won back well, though, by the Arsenal captain, Martin Ødegaard. He finds Trossard, but he's slipped over there on the greasy turf. clipped across field by Pascal Gross. It was intended for Simon Adingra. Just drop out for an Arsenal throw. And Adingra's come over to the right-hand, left-hand side after those changes. Buonanotte on the right, and João Pedro in a front two alongside Danny Welbeck. Here's White with the throw-in to hurl that in the direction of Havertz, but he loses out to Lewis Dunk. It's a late challenge from White on Simon Adingra. The Brighton players want a card here. Eventually opts against it. Just a warning for Ben White. There's been a few meaty challenges from the former Brighton defender this evening. It's Gross, just a little angle on the edge of the box, tried to feed it off to Pedro. Eventually comes back to Brighton number 9. He loses his footing though. Imagine that's going to become an issue for the players as the rain shows no signs of letting up. Here's Adingra. Steps in off that left-hand side for Brighton to Baleba. It's a little over 20 minutes of normal time left for Brighton to try and force themselves back into this. We mentioned they do have a very, very strong home record. They've not lost here in the Premier League since August. West Ham, the only team to win a Premier League match at the Amex this season, but as it stands, Arsenal are going to make that 2. Roberto De Zerbi just having a quick word with his bench. Imagine there might be 1 or 2 additional changes incoming. Baleba powers over to the left hand side to Estupinian, Adingra. Jean-Paul Van Hecke tries to get forward and join the attack. Arsenal have just dropped back into a low block here now and happy to keep Brighton at arm's length. They have the advantage. It's the Seagulls in possession as Pascal Gross drifts across the pitch, tries to make something happen. Does well to eventually feed it out to Van Hecke, who's almost playing as a right wing back in the last few moments. Here is Van Hecke again, Baleba. Everybody, with the exception of Bart Verbruggen, is now pushed deep inside the Arsenal half. Lewis Dunk. Van Hecke right up there, 25-30 yards from the Arsenal goal. Cleared away by Gabriel. Dunk will restart for Brighton. Nice ball through the lines there to João Pedro. Fed over onto the Brighton right with Tariq Lamptey. Trossard and Zinchenko will try and double up, and the flick round the corner is cleared away by Gabriel. Arsenal do look happy to sit in this shape now. 20 minutes can be a long time in Premier League football, particularly if Brighton are able to just carousel the ball like this, and obviously the potential of 1 or 2 more attacking players to come on. Estupinian will try the cross, that's blocked by Martinelli. Martinelli urging his teammates to just come out a little bit further, try and engage with Brighton more. Saliba deals with that ball into the box. Estupinian jumped into the back of Martinelli there, but Brighton keep possession. Dunk will hoist that into the box. It's an easy take for David Raya. Gunners will have a chance now to break down the left. Trossard just steps in away from Lamptey with the drive. He took a nick on the way through there, and Verbruggen has to push it round the post. Trossard with a little bit of a point to prove. Imagine there'll still be the potential for a starting spot still available against Bayern Munich. Saka and Jesus' withdrawals would indicate that they will both be starting. And Harry Kane returns to North London, but Havertz, Trossard, Martinelli all probably fighting it out for one position. Corner over on the far side to be taken by Declan Rice. Goes deep this time. Gabriel, the target, is blocked by Pascal Gross. Kept alive inside the box by Saliba, but the flag is up. Offside, I think, against Havertz in the end. Yeah, it was Gabriel's header. It was Havertz who inadvertently blocked it in the end. We are going to have another swap here from Mikel Arteta. Takehiro Tomiyasu on for Alexander Zinchenko. Like for like at left back for Arsenal. Again, another indication of his thinking for Bayern. Zinchenko and Jakub Kiwior have rotated between left back this season, and return of Tomiyasu just adds another layer of strength for Mikel Arteta. Estepinian immediately closed down there by Gabriel Martinelli. Full of freshness since coming onto the pitch, the Brazilian number 11, but he's eventually hacked Estepinian down there. Brighton will go long. Welbeck the target down the Brighton left-hand side. Just feeds that one back into the feet of Pedro, but Arsenal are back in numbers to deal with it. Win the free kick there. Trossard caught by Pascal Gross. We've seen a real different side to Arsenal this season. They're happy to battle and show that grit that title challengers need. They've relied on the small margins of games, set pieces, goals from defenders. They know they have to squeeze every drop as they want to keep pace with Manchester City and Liverpool, and 32 games gone, or 31 games gone rather, they are doing just that. Can of course bring you a quick update on tomorrow's games. All three Premier League matches will be available here on Flashscore UK. Brighton looking to burst forward here. That was a great run from Baleba, but he just ran out of road eventually, and Arsenal got back to make the clearance. Tomiyasu will hoof that one away. So tomorrow's schedule for Sunday: Manchester United at home to Liverpool, that's a 3:30 kick-off. Sheffield United at home to Chelsea is a 5:30 start at Bramall Lane, and then 6 PM here in the UK, Tottenham against Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest looking to react to their relegation rivals, picking up some positive points today. Wins for Everton and Luton. Spurs looking to pounce on Aston Villa, being held by Brentford. Sheffield United, you would imagine their relegation fate is effectively already sealed. And Manchester United at home to Liverpool is always a cracker. Just a few weeks on from their 4-3 win in the FA Cup over Jurgen Klopp's side. We have ourselves a repeat. Here's Adingra, just well to get away from White down the right hand side, but the Arsenal fullback battles back and eventually just squeezes Adingra backwards. Baleba will move that on for Brighton, as Van Hecke looks to advance forward from centre back. 15 minutes to go here. Estepinian will curl that one into the box, but it's a routine catch for Raya. And if you are just joining us, Bukayo Saka's first half penalty set the wheels in motion for Arsenal. And a 9th Premier League goal of the season for Kai Havertz has put Mikel Arteta's team in the driving seat, and Havertz is fouled there by Baleba as David Raya tried to spring him in behind. There's a booking for Baleba. And we are going to see Ansu Fati for Brighton. Danny Welbeck, the player to be replaced. "13 minutes for the Barcelona loanee to show what he can do." Rice will switch that free kick out to Tomiyasu. Trossard, and Tomiyasu will go on again on the overlap. It's a slide in on Verbruggen there. He's dealt with by the Brighton keeper. Van Hecke gave Tomiyasu a piece of his mind there. He thought he was a bit too overzealous trying to challenge for the ball. Brighton still trying to play their way up the pitch and find a little gap in this resolute Arsenal backline. It's been such a key feature of their push for a potential Premier League title. David Raya, 1 goal conceded in his last 6 Premier League starts. Fantastic rearguard action from Mikel Arteta's team. 2 players down injured here as Ben White and Buonanotte collided. Buonanotte just ran across White as he was trying to clear that, but it's the swinging boot of White that catches him. Raya will get us back underway. Played long towards Havertz. Rice will take over now. We're on the Arsenal left-hand side. Trossard. Buonanotte gets back to frustrate him. He'll throw into Brighton. If the Seagulls were able to get themselves a goal, it could change the mood music around here. So difficult to break through this Arsenal team. But in what's been the tightest of tight Premier League title races, a Brighton rally would be certainly well received by the blue half of Manchester and the red side of Merseyside. And a foul on Fati there by Saliba, and a booking for Saliba. And that was more for his descent towards John Brooks for the decision. The referee's just going to pull that one back. Brighton tried to take it quickly. This is an opportunity for Brighton now. Whipped in by Estepina, headed away by Gabriel. Brighton will immediately pick that back up though with Gross. Estepina. Adingro trying to isolate Havertz out wide here, but he's lost out to the German. Finds Ødegaard, really good skill there from Ødegaard to keep that alive, but sloppy from Jorginho. Can Brighton capitalise here as Rice charges back in to challenge Buonanotte, but great skill there to get away from the Brighton substitute Fati into the feet of Adingra. He goes down. The referee says no foul on the edge of the Arsenal box. Don't think that one will be checked by the VAR team. Brighton continue to pour forward. Here's Fati. Just lifts that one into the box to Grosso. Help it on to Pedro. Cleared away, but only as far as Adingra. And that one's blocked in behind for a Brighton corner. Caught Gabriel Martinelli on the backside, that one. Don't think there was too much doing in that felling of Simon Adingra. Rather threw himself at the feet of Declan Rice. Brighton do have a corner here. Pascal Gross into the near post, headed away by Havertz. He's put in a defensive shift when he's been needed to here, Kai Havertz. Brighton just can't quite make that stick from the clearance. Clock is ticking away here as Arsenal look to move back to the top of the table. Brighton, of course, potentially in a position to still push for European qualification. That particular race is far from settled. They've slipped down to 10th tonight. Chelsea above them in 9th with 2 games in hand. 7th place, which would be the Europa Conference League position, currently occupied by West Ham, 48 points. It's a 5-point gap. And then Manchester United in 6th, who are the Europa League qualifier in that position as it stands on 48. Of course, 5th place could be a Champions League spot for next season. That's still to be decided. Tottenham, you'd imagine, with that big advantage in 5th, will at least be playing Europa League football next season. Permutations continue. The throw into Arsenal midway inside the Brighton half, down the right hand side. White hurl that forward to Havertz. He helps it back into the box to Jorginho. Martinelli almost gets himself away from Lewis Dunk. Dealt with in the end by Bart Verbruggen. Mikel Arteta will possibly look to give a couple of players a bit of rest in the final moments. Very intrigued to see if Jorginho is tasked with back-to-back games. 32-year-old midfielder only played a couple of minutes off the bench against Luton in midweek. He's on course to complete the game, or the majority of it here. There's only a short window before Bayern Munich land in London on Tuesday evening. All of those Champions League games, incidentally, will be available on Flashscore UK. We have Arsenal against Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, Manchester City, both 8 o'clock kickoffs. And then on Wednesday the 10th of April, also both 8 o'clock kickoffs, Atletico Madrid against Borussia Dortmund, Paris Saint-Germain against Barcelona. Speaking of Barcelona, here's Ansu Fati. It feels like a lifetime ago since he burst onto the scene and announced himself as the latest product of the La Masia line. It's not gone quite to plan since then. Injuries have obviously played a huge part in that, but this loan at Brighton hasn't lived up to what he would have hoped it would be. It's a sign of the standards there from Gabriel and Saliba. 5 minutes to go, still screaming at the players in front of them to push up and set a slightly higher defensive line. Here's Estupinian. Right over to that left-hand touchline to Adingra, but Martinelli will get back in there and win it. Really good bit of defending there from Gabriel Martinelli. White just clears for territory there for Arsenal. Brighton will come again. Fati squares that across the centre of the pitch to Van Hecker, now Gross. Lewis Dunk just puts his studs on the ball and checks the lack of options in front of him, and Havertz has nicked that away, and Arsenal have got a chance to break here for a third. It's Leandro Trossard in behind, Trossard with a chance, Trossard with the goal for Arsenal. Game, set and match for the Gunners. Leandro Trossard off the bench, his 8th Premier League goal of the season. Brighton had committed their entire outfield side forward, nicked away by Kai Havertz just inside his own half. But full credit to Leandro Trossard, he had to cover a huge amount of the pitch to score that goal. 2 Brighton players closing him down from behind, but he kept his calm and his composure to just lift that beyond Bart Verbruggen. Carlos Baleba was inches away from getting back and making the tackle. It was Gross's touch that put Brighton in trouble initially. It was Trossard with the hassle and Kai Havertz with the pass. He just waited and waited for Verbruggen to go to ground, and the Belgian international just lifted it over him and has removed any lingering doubts that Arsenal are moving back to the top of the Premier League table. The away fans delighted in the rain here at the Amex Stadium. Just the potential of that little bit of a nervy final few moments has now been removed. Arsenal can relax, play out the final few seconds. Arteta obviously keeping an eye on the possibility of anyone picking up an injury. Fatty just twists away and he's brought down there by Jorginho. Brighton want to get it going quickly. Yeah, Pedro, Gross. Pedro does well to burst away from a couple of tackles, but Declan Rice is there to slam the door on him. Rice is away now down the left hand side. Arsenal have got men over. If Rice can pick the right pass, might take this on himself. Declan Rice just past the post, tipped behind eventually by Verbruggen. Travelled even further than Trossard did for the goal there, Declan Rice. He just kept going and going and eventually fancied the shot himself. I think it took a slight deflection off Van Hecke. Verbruggen didn't get near that one. And as expected, there will be a couple of changes from Arteta to wrap up. Martin Odegaard will be given a standing ovation by the travelling supporters, as will Kai Havertz. Odegaard, the orchestrator for Arsenal. Kai Havertz with the second goal of the game to tip the balance of the contest. Fabio Vieira and Eddie Nketiah will get a little cameo here. Arsenal will have a corner. Rice to take over on the far side. Need a goal to add to the goal difference tally, of course, for Arsenal. They're now on to plus 51. And there's almost a chance for a fourth there as Gabriel piled in at the far post from Rice's corner. Yeah, so plus 51. Liverpool plus 42, Manchester City plus 40. Martinelli tries to scamper away down the left hand side. He'll lift that one into the box. Headed over by Nketiah. 75 Premier League goals scored this season, more than any team. 24 conceded, less than any team. Really is going to be one heck of a ride between now and the end of the campaign. All eyes on Old Trafford tomorrow. Liverpool, of course, in fine form themselves. They beat Sheffield United in midweek. So Dingra looks to take this one on into the Arsenal box and a win a corner from Saliba. Arsenal just looking to see out these additional 5 minutes. They will of course want to keep another clean sheet. If it stays as it is, it'll be number 12 of the season for David Raya. The corner headed away at the near post by Nketiah. Gross will try again. Estepinian on the overlap into the box, headed away by Rice. There's an angle here for Pedro. He's blocked in behind for a corner by Gabriel, and the Arsenal players celebrate as if that was a fourth goal. Big block from Gabriel there. Pedro just sidestepped Trossard, and Arsenal number 6 stuck out a leg, sends it behind. I do say that title charges are built on defences. Gabriel and William Saliba have been absolutely excellent for Arsenal this season. Gross just hangs that one into the box, helped on by Lewis Dunk to Ansu Fati. Now Adingra. 3 minutes with the additional 5 still to go. Brighton with a chance to have another opportunity here, and Adingra's forced the corner from Tomiyasu. Taken short by Gross into the feet of Estepinian. Tries to feed that one in right-footed, but it's eventually cleared away by Arsenal, and Trossard thought he was away again there. His pass is blocked off. Brighton will go back to Verbruggen. Here's Adingra. Less success in the second half, Simon Adingra. He switched sides following the changes from Roberto De Zerbi. He was a thorn for Alexander Zinchenko in the opening 45 minutes. Himself and Tariq Lamptey down the Brighton right, but on this near left-hand side against Ben White, it's been more difficult for him. Gross into the feet of Estepinian. Tomiyasu just stepped off and left Gabriel Martinelli to deal with that one. Jorginho eventually pulled to the ground. A free kick to Arsenal as they just edge down the clock. Roberto De Zerbi, of course, has been mentioned as a potential successor to Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. He's second favourite at the moment according to the bookies. Sporting Lisbon's Ruben Amorim is the hot favourite as it stands, and he could be taking charge of the Premier League champions if Liverpool continue to win all of their games. As tight as the title race is, Liverpool do have the advantage if they can stay the course. It's been a pretty miserable day at the office for the Italian today. Here's Havertz, Trossard tries to force a corner over on that far left-hand side. Nketiah trying to fashion a shot for himself. He feeds it across to Ben White, but it's eventually dealt with by Brighton. Headed away in the direction of João Pedro. He's gone down, clutching his face there. He was caught by Fabio Vieira. Ben White's picked himself up a booking there, I think, for arguing with the referee. He's been involved in a few controversial moments this afternoon, Ben White, against his old team. It's quite fair to say he won't be on many Brighton fans' Christmas cards list this year. And that is to be the final action here at the Amex Stadium. John Brooks blows the final whistle 3 goals and 3 points for Arsenal. Bukayo Saka from the penalty spot before the break. Kai Havertz and then Leandro Trossard off the bench to wrap it up for the Gunners. But the big news here on the South Coast is another change in the Premier League title race. Arsenal are back on top as Liverpool prepare to go to Manchester United. Full time on Flash Score UK. It is Brighton 0, Arsenal 3.